It's the All Things Strange podcast. We are your hosts, Agent Anderson and
Agent Ether.
Come along as we examine UFO sightings, conspiracies, and all things strange. You can find all of our wonderful links in the description on the Linktree, where you can find our Discord, our merchandise, our Patreon, and more. This week's episode, The Dead Internet Theory. As chosen by our Patreon subscribers, where we've got 3 wonderful tiers for you. The first tier will get you early access and after hours. The second tier will get you bonus episodes, and the third tier will allow you to vote on upcoming topics such as this one. It was actually a tie this week, so apologies to our voters, but you guys tied, not much I can do about that. And Agent Ether was the tiebreaker.
That was me. I wanted to read about, learn about, and talk about this theory.
So the other topic was the Yuba County 5. I might do that as a bonus episode in the next week or two to sort of make up for not being able to do it for the people who voted for that one. Apologies, but we'll get you your episode sooner or later. But the dead internet theory, this was a really, really cool topic that I just stumbled upon recently while I was reading about something else entirely. And it sounded pretty interesting to me, so I decided to put it up for the vote, and people liked the idea.
I like the idea. I actually don't like the idea. I was really disconcerted by the whole thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. Well, let's get into it, I guess. The dead internet theory. Here's a quote from Wikipedia that sums up the basic idea. Quote, "The dead internet theory is an online conspiracy theory that asserts the irony there, right? It's an online theory, but the internet is dead."
Right.
You notice the irony there in that definition?
Yeah.
The dead internet theory is an online conspiracy theory that asserts that the internet now consists mainly of bot activity and automatically generated content manipulated by algorithmic curation, minimizing organic human activity to manipulate the population. Proponents of the theory believe these bots were created intentionally to help manipulate algorithms and boost search results in order to manipulate consumers. Some proponents of the theory accuse government agencies of using bots to manipulate public perception. The date given for this death was generally around 2016 or 2017. Now, there's a whole ton of interesting ideas in that definition that we're not going to necessarily go over point by point because we don't want to have boring. We want to have fun. But there's a lot of separate topics. We're not going to be able to touch on everything because there's a ton. This one touches on a lot of different things. So instead, we're just going to cover a few different ideas under the general umbrella of dead internet theory.
And I'd like to get us started, kind of kick this off, because this theory has actually been floating around before even 2016. I mean, it's been around since just after the internet, just when bots became a thing and people started hearing about them. It was on 4chan in the late 2010s. But in 2021, there was a lengthy post on a thread titled "Dead Internet Theory, Most of the Internet is Fake." And this was on a forum from Agora's Rhodes Macintosh Cafe.
This is what you might call a wall of text. Did you go over this whole thing?
Yeah.
Well, you are braver than I was.
Okay, I didn't go over all of it. I skimmed through it and picked out the pieces I thought were the most interesting and relevant to our topic.
Well, I skimmed it too, and there's a lot of good stuff in here, and I thought I might do like a supplemental bonus to go over this stuff, but we'll see. Since you went over it, I won't need to do that, but there is a lot of really interesting stuff in here.
I didn't go over everything. Like I said, I cherry picked the things. And the reason why is a lot of it does ramble. It does sort of ramble. And while it's not, I don't want to say it's paranoid, but the way it reads is, it makes you question the author, not the intent of the author, but what the author's really trying to say. And there's a lot of good content in there, but there's also a lot of content that has you kind of scratching your head.
Well, for me, when I'm reading through this, so just as an aside, like, I don't necessarily have to wholeheartedly believe that something's true. A lot of these topics for me, it's more getting wrapped up in the story. It's kind of like reading a novel or something where you just sort of read it, suspend disbelief, and just sort of be able to say, like, what if, right? So for me, this post is written in a way that, you're right, is sort of paranoid and whatever, but it's also just like, it's just like glorious paranoid conspiracy at its best, and I love it. So that's why I wanted to go over it, because I just love the way it's written,
I actually found this particular post because I was reading an article on Forbes that was published just a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And it was arguing that there was a fine line between the dead internet theory and the internet being taken over by corporations in the form of AI through things like massive advertising. So it's the idea that trends are being set by marketing and not influencers or actual human beings. And that's a little different than the dead internet theory.
Well, the thing is, with this particular topic, it comes down to how you want to define things.
That's
really.
True. That's true.
As we will see as the episode progresses, you can't deny that some of this stuff is happening. It's just a matter of how you want to define it.
And why is it happening? That's a big debate too, is why is it happening? Is it purely for monetization? Is it being used for manipulation? Because there's definitely there's this environment where users are being tracked. Like, your every moment is being tracked and monitored, and it's being used to monetize browsing and sharing and buying. So what else is it being used for?
Right. And we live in a day and age when every bit of data is being collected for monetization. You are the product. We were just discussing earlier, the place across the street from here where I sometimes go to get my haircut, they want your phone number when you check in. Why do they need your phone number for a haircut? That's kind of weird. And if you don't want to give it to them, they will argue with you. So I just give them a fake phone number that doesn't even exist anymore. But still, the point is that everybody's collecting all the data all the time, and they're not doing that for no reason. They're using it.
I would like everyone to know that I give them my actual cell phone number so they can text me my appointments, and they remember what my kids' haircuts were from the last time. So there is a purpose.
But they don't need your phone number to do that.
What are they going to take from you? What information? Your address?
Well, it's not what they're going to do with it. They're going to sell it to somebody else who's going to do something with it.
That might be true, but do you know how many spam calls I got today?
Yeah, that's true.
Like 5. So right. I'm not sure how much of a difference it's going to make. My phone is so good on picking up at these spam calls.
And I do have a letter sitting right here on my desk that we received yesterday, I believe, that says, it's from AT&T, and it says, notice of data breach. It says, it starts off, hello, at AT&T, we take the security of your data very seriously. And that's the first sentence on the letter. Fuck off.
Yeah, they said everything's on the dark web. Social security.
Yeah.
Email. Like, they basically said, sorry, all your data is now on the dark web.
Yep. It probably already was, but still. Yeah. And the frustrating thing to me, I mean, we've talked about it before, but our companies have been hacked like this before. This is not the first such notice that we've received. And they say, oh, we'll offer you 1 year of data protection. And I'm like, well, you fuckers think I'm only going to live for another year? Like, because I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. It's not like you can change your social security number.
Yeah, Agent Anderson and I actually just froze our credit.
Yeah.
Nobody can touch our credit. So we didn't know what else to do.
But that may be a little far afield. Why don't we get back to the
post. The post. So I'm actually just going to quote it because it gives credit to anonymous writers or anons on a forum called Wizard Chan.
That's a sub board of 4chan, and on 4chan anybody can be anonymous if they choose to be so.
And I think most people do choose to be
Yes.
anonymous. So, and the quote is, large proportions of the supposedly human produced content on the internet are actually generated by artificial intelligence networks in conjunction with paid secret media influencers in order to manufacture consumers for an increasing range of newly normalized cultural products.
And that's a direct quote from the article.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the way it's written, I love it. Like it's pure paranoid conspiracy, and I love every minute of this article that I had a chance to read. It is glorious.
That's one word that you could use, is glorious. No, there was some good content in this post, and it certainly made me think. There were certain just a viewpoint, like a different worldview that I hadn't thought about before when you go on the internet. Like I wasn't really thinking about this kind of a thing before I looked into the topic.
Well, what I like about this article is that it has examples in there that are things that I've noticed before with a little bit of crazy sprinkled on top.
So the poster who's putting this all together is a self-described right-winger in his 30s who started going on 4chan in 2006 and refers to himself as an old fag. And I was like, can I say that on the air? I didn't even know what that meant.
One word, OLDFAG.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's a 4chan thing.
It's someone who has been with a community a long time and basically won't shut up about it. It was on urban slang. So my apologies. I don't want to offend anybody. It is a term that is used.
I have been on 4chan a couple of times in the past, but I have not been a part of that community. I've only went on there to look at things that other people have mentioned, basically. So I personally am not any sort of whatever type of person you may be if you go on these places. I don't want to, I don't want to offend anybody either.
I'm bringing this up because that is how he describes himself several times in this post, because he wants to put forth his credentials. And he talks about how he's smart and intuitive, more so than the average person, which is why he was able to see all these connections.
Right.
His goal, he says, is to make people think. That's why he's writing this post. He describes the internet as a sterile place devoid of content. And while some of it's due to government and corporations, he says there's a lot more to it. Any thoughts, Agent Anderson?
No, I want you to we're going to keep derailing this. So I'd like to let you keep going.
Keep going.
Without
okay.
derailing you more.
He talks about this idea of Raptor Jesus. So I actually didn't know anything about this. Agent Anderson's like, are you going to cover this post, this original post? And I was like, I don't know. It's gotten kind of weird for me. What is Raptor Jesus?
Well, so I came across like a AI generated image of like Jesus with shrimp or something, but I haven't heard of the Raptor Jesus.
So the Raptor Jesus went extinct for our sins. First, it was this reptilian messiah, then foul bachelor frog, and then Pepe. Am I the only one who sees a clear evolution, a link? It's as if this meme or entity or whatever the fuck was on 4chan since day one and has grown within it from the tiniest seed. Yet Raptor Jesus was fully just a joke. There was nothing serious or mystical about it. Reminder, I was there. Remember that TED guy with the right-wing talk show with whom 4chan ruined for the lols? Remember Anonymous versus Scientology? Remember that fake bomb threat, aka exploding yellow van?
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with any of that stuff. I have heard of Pepe, but I don't remember what context. I think somebody probably sent me a Pepe at some point or other.
So
I don't know.
I think from reading the later content as well, not only can't you trust your eyes, you can't trust not just what you're reading, you can't trust what you're seeing either in terms of images.
Right.
And that these same images are being put out there over and over and over again, and they become popular.
Yeah.
And they get reposted, and they're the same images. So is it really a cyclical behavior that's human and organically driven, or is it somehow bot driven?
Right. Okay.
I think that's what he means. He also, though, talks about how with all the AI and deep fakes out there, that people and news you think exist might not actually exist. Maybe even politicians and actors might not exist. Not just that you're seeing deep fakes, but that they're actually non-existent.
Tom Cruise is real, okay?
Okay.
I will die on that hill.
There is apparently an internal civil war where Zuckerberg and other techies on 4chan were creating AI content very early on, and they were using 4chan and the forums to kind of test this technology. And now the New World government is just gaslighting everyone. And a quote from the article is, if China with its social credit card, no, not credit card, if China with its social credit score is recreating psychopaths, then the US government is perfectly recreating Metal Gear Solid 2. There is a large-scale deliberate effort to manipulate culture and discourse online and in wider culture by utilizing a system of bots and paid employees whose job it is to produce content and respond to content online in order to further the agenda of those they are employed by. Already, we've seen this in foreign nations influencing elections by manipulating advertising algorithms on social media in order to push specific candidates.
But see, I think some of that's true.
Whether or not it's true, I'm quoting the article. I'm going over the article,
right,
so that we can have an understanding about where this theory is coming from, because a couple of different places, The Atlantic, Forbes, that sort of thing, went back to this original post kind of as the source. 4chan and what were you saying? The other Chan.
There's a lot.
Well, the different Chans.
Wizard Chan
being the place that it started, that this theory started.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to go over it in detail. So where do the bots come in? In the poster's opinion, machines are quicker and faster than humans. And so they're able to influence more quickly. And like if you were a person posting, you would be limited. You just have human limitations. But a bot, they're able to almost weaponize what they're doing. And the user says, or the poster says, it's really propaganda. The internet has slipped out of our control. So that is what I read through. He gives tons of examples of what he believes are bot replies on different forums. And he looks at like the chat GDP sort of thing. He gives examples back and forth. He says, this is a bot, this is not a bot. And he points out that it's not just text, but images too. And he ends with, if you don't believe all this, it's only because it would destroy your worldview.
Well, that's convenient.
So that's the parts I touched on from this post. And it is quite lengthy, as I said.
Yeah, you missed quite a lot of stuff here.
I did.
Well, I won't go into...
You should touch on whatever you find interesting.
Maybe I'll do a supplemental at some point, because there's a lot more to talk about than just this this article. Just a random line. Innocent sexual perversion and the horrible reality it spawned. Anon is a pervert and always was one. Like, what is he even talking about here?
I purposefully skipped over stuff like that because it didn't make any sense. It didn't flow with what was being discussed. So I pulled out from some of this ranting something that was coherent,
right, and
made sense to me.
Maybe I'll go over this in more detail for a supplemental or something, because it's pretty interesting, wild and paranoid stuff. And it's, if you're willing to suspend disbelief and not take it seriously or at face value, it's kind of a fun read. But maybe that's a good summary for now. So that's the germ of where this may come from. But as strange or paranoid or unrealistic as it sounds, there is a lot of evidence to support the idea that not everything, but a large amount of what is on the internet is now fake or generated by bots.
Yeah, it's really true. And the average person is beginning to notice.
Yeah, for sure. For example, it is now common. Have you guys noticed when you search for something on Google, instead of getting what you're looking for, you just get a bunch of blogs, like top 10 blogs for whatever you're searching for that look like they're auto-generated. And instead, if you want a real result, you have to do a search and then end with the word Reddit to find the result on Reddit, where you're more likely to get an actual real discussion of whatever it is you're looking for, because the Google search algorithms have been completely taken over by what appears to me to be automatically generated blogs, quite often that link to Amazon products so they can get, the
affiliate
link commission. And they don't really have any substance to them. They'll just repeat something that you searched for and then say, here are some products that address whatever that is. And then the product descriptions themselves, like if it's a review, for example, it doesn't review the products. It just lists the product descriptions and calls it a review. And that's most of the results I get when I'm looking for something these days, depending on what you search. But a lot of it looks fake and automatically generated.
Which is funny. Most searches themselves are organic, but then most results are fake.
Yeah.
So you go to Google, and I read something like 60% of people who are searching in Google are searching for something specific. They're going on Google and they're looking for, like, let's say, athletic shoes, right?
Yeah.
And now I don't remember at all how that relates to what you were saying, because we were interrupted for 15 minutes by doggies.
Yeah, sorry guys. The doggies went berserk there and started barking at something, so we had to take a pause to quiet them down. And I'm editing that bit out because you guys don't want to hear us, wrangling the doggies, but that kind of derailed whatever thought process we had going there. But
we will just edit and continue.
We will just continue along. Yeah, keep on trucking. So Google results, as I was saying, a lot of them feel like they're fake, and people are starting to notice, like Agent Ether said, so much so that a lot of people start searching on Reddit instead of Google, for example. Now, there's a security firm named Imperva, and they have released several reports about web traffic, and they have found, the number varies year to year, but they have found that over 50% of web traffic is bots.
That's crazy.
Wrap your head around that. Half of all the web traffic is from bots. That is really interesting. That's what I mean, when I said earlier that while some of these ideas under this general theory of the dead internet, some of the ideas may seem a little far-fetched, there is absolutely evidence to support that something is going on here. It's not all made up, although some of it may not necessarily be true. There is a ton of evidence behind it.
The whole thing with bots, though, that's newer, right? Bots didn't always exist. Well, when we say bots, there are good bots like web crawlers, and there's the bots who are moving terrible spam into my spam folders in my email and stuff like that. But we're talking about bad bots.
Yes, bad bots.
Bots.
Look for it. Look for the security firm. Look for Imperva Bad Bots Report, and you can find those. That's what it's called. Bad Bots Report.
That is a coincidence. But what had me suspicious about bot activity is I was reading traffic on the internet from 2020 to 2024 has increased a substantial amount. How much has it increased, do you think?
20%.
1,200%.
What?
And most of that allegedly is in India, places like India.
Right.
I'm going to double check that now, because that seems like such a high figure.
That's an insane number. So that would mean if all of that increase is due to bot activity, then that would mean that people now make up probably less than 10% of internet activity, which would be absolutely insane. But there's a lot of different, like I said, a lot of different subtopics. One of them that I found was on Facebook. This is just one of many examples. On Facebook, there are what appear to be AI-generated images that don't really make any sense, but those images will go viral, and then they'll have comments on those images that are sort of like these non-committal, like, great, good job, like that kind of stuff, that seem like they're all bots. So here you have bots commenting on a bot-made image that's gone viral, and there are no real people involved in this. It's just like bots upon bots, and it doesn't seem like any of it's real. And this is the kind of stuff that people are noticing, that like it doesn't make sense. Like I mentioned earlier, one of them was like a picture of Jesus where his arms were made out of shrimp or something like that. And people are like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is this going viral? It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just, it somehow hits the algorithms and a lot of bots start commenting on it.
So here's another statistic from Be Real. There's been a 1,200% increase in Gen Z usage. That's from Forbes. So just the rate of growth is ridiculous.
That number doesn't make any sense though, because already everybody's on the internet.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's an impossible number. I'm not sure what that is.
I know. I'm going to keep looking while you talk.
Okay, unless it's bots. So if you've been on Twitter, I'm sure you've noticed tons of activity that looks like bots. I don't need to necessarily go over that. Or X, I guess, or some people are calling it Xitter, pronounced shitter.
Wow, there you go.
Oh, you haven't heard of that one?
No.
Depending on where you stand with the X takeover of Twitter, I don't really have a dog in that race, but I just think it's kind of funny, to see people calling it names like shitter instead of Twitter. Anyways, there was one thing that happened that I will point out though. It was this I hate texting trend. Now on Twitter, some accounts that appeared to be bot accounts started putting out X's or tweets starting with I hate texting, followed with some sort of non sequitur message. It could be I hate texting, chocolate ice cream is delicious, or I hate texting, my dog just went to the groomer today, or something that doesn't really match, it doesn't seem to make sense.
Right.
So these X's or tweets got tens of thousands of likes, and it looks like the accounts both putting out these statements and liking these statements are all bots.
Yeah.
Just like the thing on Facebook with those pictures, it looks like this is just a big robot circle jerk, and there are not really any real people involved. But at some point, enough of it hits the algorithms and it starts hitting everybody's feed, and then people start noticing it and real people might start commenting on it.
All right, so going back really quick.
Well, let me just finish this up real quick.
No.
And it makes you wonder if this whole I hate texting thing was just an experiment by somebody programming bots to see what they could do to get something to go viral. Because as you know, if you can get an account with a lot of followers, that's worth a lot of money. So maybe that's all it has to do with, is just somebody trying to make money. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Agent Ethan.
No, glad you could finish your thought. That's excellent. So I found the factoid, because we're like, that can't be right. So it's from the factfile.org/internet-facts number 15. Between 2000 and 2020, the rate of internet usage worldwide increased by 1,266%.
Okay,
that's
believe.
Different.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, because way back in 2000, we didn't have the internet. We were too poor.
This is interesting, though. This says there's like 1.5 billion internet websites are inactive and 200 million internet sites are active. That's actually not that much. 200 million?
Yeah. Well, I believe that too, because it's not that hard to make a web page, believe it or not. You could probably do like a 30-minute tutorial and make an entire really basic website. Like, it's that easy. Now, I'm not talking about anything sophisticated. I'm just maybe a text-only kind of a deal. It's not that hard to do, but there are lots and lots of blogs and things. I don't know about billions. That's a lot. But there are a ton of, dead web pages. People who started a website out of, either commercial interests or just hobby interest, and then they just stopped updating it.
These facts are fun. Guess how many tweets are sent every second?
A million.
No, it's 500 million a day. It's 6,000 a second.
That's a lot.
It still is a lot.
6,000. Boom, boom, boom. There's another 6,000. There's another 6,000. Like from the IT crowd.
And like, how many of those are real tweets? Is the question.
Yeah,
Wait, do they still call them tweets if it's X?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm gonna look that up.
That's that's why I called them X's, because Twitter tweets X's Xing. That's too close to sexting.
It really is.
I don't think that name was very well thought out. So nobody knows exactly how many
Tweets
bots
should now be referred to as X's per Elon Musk, according to metro.co.uk.
really.
That's what it says.
That is the dumbest thing I have heard today. And I spent a decent portion of the day researching a conspiracy.
So Matthew Garbett at X says they should name them to expressions. And then he said, if SpaceX is a thing, surely we should just call them Twix. I like Twixes.
Yeah, but so first of all, you can't do that because Twix is a candy. And
but it's Twix with an X. You can have everything.
That's a trademark, and I guarantee you Twix is going to challenge that, or Mars, or whoever owns them. Now, expressions sounds good on the surface, but on the other hand, can you say that I put out expressions on X? Like, that just doesn't really roll off the tongue. Oh, I expressed myself on... That sounds like so douchey. Like, I don't know. I put out an express today. I don't like it.
I don't like tweets either, though.
Tweets is way better. Twitter is way better.
You can't say it anymore because it's not Twitter. It's X.
I tweeted or, whatever. Like,
you tweeted you were a twat.
I twatted today. No, wait, that's not right. But that just rolls off the tongue. Like X, it just doesn't, I don't know. None of this makes any sense. Anyways, we don't know exactly how many bots are on X or Shitter or whatever. We don't know how many bots are on there, but there are estimates as high as 20% of accounts. But those accounts also tweet more, express more often. See, it sounds like expressing, like I don't know. It sounds like isn't that what like mothers do when they're getting milk for their babies? They express the milk.
Yeah.
See, it just doesn't work. Anyways, they express more than normal accounts or tweet more than normal accounts. So even though they're only 20% of the accounts, they could make up a significant bulk of activity on the platform. Of course, the information is really hard to come by, and we will actually never know what the exact activity level is of these bots, because my guess is that X doesn't want us to know, or more specifically, doesn't want advertisers to know. And that's why a lot of this information is kept secret. Because if advertisers knew that 40% of their activity was fake, or whatever the number is, then they would want to pay that much less or a lot less to advertise on the platform, and they would lose a lot of money from it.
No, it's true. It is all about the money. Everyone makes more money the more followers or subscribers, comments, clicks that they have. So really, it's a big money go round, for sure.
I remember, now I didn't follow it closely, but I remember when Elon was first trying to buy Twitter, he was rattling his saber about how he's going to stomp out the bot problem or whatever, get rid of the bots on Twitter. But after he purchased it, I haven't noticed a peep from him talking about bots. It seems to be not a priority anymore. And to me, that suggests that bots are a significant problem on the platform.
Twitter says it actually removes 1 million spam bot accounts each day.
Yeah, but that also suggests that it's extremely easy for those bots, for those people to just sign up more bot accounts. We're not talking about one bot per person here. This is not like a democracy where one bot, one person, one vote, or whatever. If it's that easy to make bots, then that suggests it's a growing problem. And also, the people making the bots are probably getting better at concealing them as a normal activity.
Yeah.
But 1 million a day, that's just incredible. That's a lot. Estimates I've seen are as high as 30% of content being created by bots. And this was true even before Elon bought the platform. And they speculate that that number has continued to be approximately true after he purchased it. But we don't know for sure. Some people speculate that if you remember, he offered a bunch of money, 44 billion or whatever, but then he like signed the contract, but then he tried to back out of the deal. Some people suggest that he tried to back out of the deal because he found out how many bots were actually on the platform. Personally, I think he just sobered up and realized what he had done, and that's why he wanted to back out, but your guess is as good as mine. That is one of the conspiracies, though, is that once he found out how many bots were on there, he tried to back out of the deal.
It's not just conspiracy because his countersuit is actually public, and he claimed a third of visible Twitter assets assessed by his team were fake and estimated that a minimum of 10% of daily active users were bots, which was, of course, disputed by Twitter.
Really? I didn't see that. And that's a strategy that could very well backfire on him because now he's making public,
yeah,
right? Stuff that he doesn't want the advertisers to know.
And I found that on BBC.
Okay. Interesting. I did not see that. That is really, really interesting.
There was a lot of argument over the number.
Yeah.
And in the end, the judge decided it didn't matter because he'd already agreed to buy it.
Right. Yeah. It's like, sorry, you got to pay. You already agreed. You already said yes.
Yes, exactly.
Got to do the due diligence ahead of time, guys. Once you buy it, you buy it. You break it, you buy it. I don't know. So there's another issue here, I guess, subtopic of the fake or the dead internet, I should say. This one was kind of interesting. The YouTube inversion. Did you hear about this one, Agent Ether?
No, I did not.
So there's a large market for fake YouTube views. It is enormous. If you see a channel with 1 million views, chances are some of those views were purchased because the algorithm on YouTube rewards videos that are getting views. And it sort of snowballs. If you can get 10,000 views on a video, then it will continue to snowball and it might go viral. So to make something go viral, a good place to start is buying fake views for that video. Now, I don't know how standard this is, and I don't know how many channels do this, but certainly a lot of them do. Just go ahead and Google fake YouTube views and see how many services pop up offering this, and look at the prices that they're offering for this service, and that alone tells you that somebody is paying for this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have computer programmers and scientists in countries, let's say Pakistan, and they will sell these chat GDP bots for a specific price, and then you can use them to generate followers and likes and that sort of thing on YouTube.
Yeah. So just a quick search here. I searched buy YouTube views, and the first result was from marketingscoop.com, the 10 best sites to buy YouTube views, cheap and non-drop. I don't know what non-drop means. And the second one is SocialWick. Buy YouTube views, 100% active and instant, just 99 cents. Let's click on that and see how much it costs. All right, let's see. SocialWick. Let's click on buy YouTube views. YouTube views quantity. Okay, let's put 1 million. Make sure I type that in correctly. Let's see how much it costs for 1 million views. You can't order more than 100,000 views. Okay, fine. Let's see how much it costs for 100,000 views. So 100,000 views on this website costs $383.
That is nothing.
That may sound like a lot of money, but in order to achieve 100,000 views through advertising, it would probably cost at least 10 times that amount. And if these are views that the YouTube network recognizes as legitimate, that's money in your pocket, because this is how you could build a channel from nothing to being popular. And you know as well as I do, you guys have seen videos on YouTube where the content, it's okay, but it's nothing special, and yet they'll have millions of views. Well, guys, this is how it happens.
It's so crazy.
And this website is actually on the higher side. I've seen much cheaper websites when I've researched this in the past. I mean, I haven't researched it heavily, but I've just looked into it out of curiosity. But anyways, the YouTube inversion. There's a large market for fake YouTube views, and a lot of channels probably use this. Maybe it's more common than it is not. Here's a quote from Wikipedia talking about this. At one point, fake views were so prevalent that some engineers were concerned YouTube's algorithm for detecting them could begin to treat the fake views as default and start misclassifying real ones. YouTube engineers coined the term the inversion to describe this phenomenon. In other words, so many views, so much of the activity on YouTube was fake or was bots, because what happens is there are real people behind these views, but it's mostly bots. They'll use like fake accounts and VPNs and things to make it look like real activity. I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but they do things like that. But they're so real that YouTube was worried that their algorithm would start detecting the fake ones and classifying those as real, and it would invert. So that suggests to me that at some point, it may not be the case now, but at some point, there were more fake views than there were real views across the board on YouTube. Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at these people who go viral, it makes you question how popular they really are. And some people are big, and some people who came onto the internet early on, it makes sense why they're big. But some people look like they are, like they're influencers, and they have all these likes, and you've never heard of them.
Right. Once I read about this, I forget where I saw this, but a long time ago, I saw a video about followers. And their idea was that the first follower you get isn't necessarily the most important follower or whatever. It's the follower after that, right? So I forget exactly how they phrased it or whatever, but if you're like, they used an example of like the first person at a concert, like this, they show a video of this guy who gets up, you know, in the green area where there's no assigned seats at a concert and just starts dancing like a complete goofball. Does not have any talent. But they're into it. They're enjoying the music. And that person by themselves, if they're just dancing like a goofball, people point at them and laugh. But another person got up and also started dancing with this person like a goofball. And then shortly thereafter, a whole crowd of people got up and started dancing like goofballs. So their point was that like being a leader is pointless if you don't have somebody willing to step up and be a follower. So that's kind of the psychology behind this, is if you have a lot of followers, then other people will think, oh, this is a successful person, I'm going to follow them as well. And I don't think it's a thought process like that. I think it's more subconscious. I don't think we're sitting there thinking like, oh, this person only has 100 views, I'm not going to watch their video. But if somebody has 2 million views, you're probably more likely to click on their video. I think it's kind of more along those lines.
Yeah, I agree actually. And I find myself doing that. I don't want to watch a video that only has 100 likes. I mean,
right.
You only have so much time in your day.
Yeah. And this actually goes well. This is a phenomenon that happened well before the advent of the internet. I remember hearing or reading about the Beatles. So the Beatles allegedly, now I haven't done the deep dive on this, but I read that the Beatles would hire young women to go to their shows and cheer for them and act like they were, you know, like, oh my gosh, you guys, you know, they're going nuts at the show. Oh, we're such big fans, you know, screaming and going berserk at the shows, because other people saw that at the shows, saw those beautiful young women going berserk for the Beatles, and then they decided to follow them doing that as well. So it helped them jumpstart their career. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I believe something like that is possible, even if the Beatles didn't necessarily do it. And plus, it wouldn't have been the Beatles themselves, it would have been their management that did something like that. But the point is this idea of faking followers has been around a long time, even before bots and the internet. But Whether, that's maybe neither here nor there, but the fact is that YouTube views may be a lot of fake YouTube views out there. Again, how many, we will never know, and neither will the advertisers.
This is a general problem, again, across different social media platforms and any place where people are expressing their ideas. So it's not just a Twitter/X issue or an issue on YouTube. It's Instagram, it's forums, it's everywhere. It's across the internet that it's an issue. We could sit down and we could talk about just Facebook. We could talk about LinkedIn. You could talk about even 4chan. And
Right.
It's a problem everywhere.
Yeah, and I guess the issue here is whether or not there's some sort of grand conspiracy. At the very least, we have hard evidence that there is a lot of fake traffic on the internet. And the problem with that is that it pushes out real people having discussions. And that's kind of the sad thing about it, is you're no longer having genuine discussions with people. And the more sophisticated these bots get, the harder it is to tell which ones are fake. So real people are being displaced on the internet. It's kind of creepy.
And not only that, but a lot of this traffic is malicious in nature in terms of trying to get data, maybe selling it on the dark web. So it's not just, the aspect of creating fake accounts for influencers or likes. You have bots who are trying to break into accounts, because if you can access something like Facebook or Twitter, maybe you'll be able to get someone's email or password. And there's a lot that's linked to your email, like your banks and credit cards and that sort of thing. So,
or even private conversations, which may include information that you don't want to get out, maybe an inappropriate joke you told, or a dick pic that you sent 2 years ago that might still be around somewhere in a private message. And if you are somebody who is wealthy and influential, you could absolutely blackmail somebody with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we actually have a terrible problem on our Facebook group.
Do we?
Yeah, with not only with bots, but with fake accounts, which, are created by bots.
Yeah.
And I would say at least 80% of our community are actually fake accounts or bots, which has made me consider taking the Facebook group and making it private. I had to start censoring every post because 50% of the traffic coming in was highly pornographic. And I reported the post so many times to Facebook that now they automatically monitor our group, so I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, that's convenient.
Very convenient. And so it also filters out all that constant crypto bot stuff that I don't want to have to monitor our group constantly to see who's posting about, Bitcoins or something. I want content that's related to our group. I want people joining our group who are interested in our group. And I'll go onto Facebook and I'll check out these new user requests. And they have like one profile picture, one friend, if any, and they've joined Facebook within the last year. And I'm like, why are you interested in my group?
Yeah. Buy UFO coin, get rich quick. There probably really is a UFO coin.
So many spammy links, though, when they post. It's a lot of spam.
Well, the next topic I have here that I looked into was celebrities and fake followers. Modern celebrities, not ones like the Beatles that are, been around for a while. So inflating the follower count on social media, it's obviously beneficial to celebrities to jumpstart their image and their career and all that stuff, to have a footprint online. A lot of these people don't even manage their own social media accounts. They have somebody to do that for them, but they want followers, right? So they can promote their movies, et cetera, et cetera. The benefits are pretty obvious. There's plenty of examples of this. Let's talk about a couple. In 2017, an audit found that about half of Donald Trump's 30 million Twitter followers were fake, about 15 million fake followers. Kim Kardashian lost over 1 million followers in 2014 when fake accounts were purged on Instagram. She had around 73 million followers at that time. So as a percentage, it wasn't that much, but still, that's a pretty significant number of followers. And you could imagine that there might be a lot more than that weren't detected. But who knows, probably her first million followers were fake just to sort of jumpstart her account. And if you got an account with 1 million followers, that's pretty good. You could make a living on that probably by, with advertising or whatever. So that's a pretty decent chunk of fake accounts.
For music artists specifically, they have the highest percentage of suspicious followers of all celebrities at
Right.
60%.
Yeah. There's a couple more here. Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, I was going to talk about. In 2013, an audit of Katy Perry found that 40% of her accounts were fake, and another 40% were totally inactive, suggesting that 80% of her followers were probably bots. So yeah, for example, there's so many examples of these. I just jotted down a couple of them, but there are so many examples of this that I kind of assume that pretty much every single celebrity out there with millions of followers has millions of fake followers, but who knows? Who knows how far reaching the effect of this is and what it actually means. But it's pretty clear that there is a crap ton of fake followers out there for celebrity accounts.
Yeah, Instagram is way up there as far as fake accounts go. And that makes sense because a lot of people have actually moved from social media platforms to Instagram. So it actually makes sense that the bots and the likes and that sort of thing are being concentrated to Instagram right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder why that is. Maybe that's just where people are going. I heard that Twitter is dying down.
Yeah.
Maybe people are gravitating towards Instagram. I don't know. I've mentioned before that I'm not really posting on Twitter anymore just because of it's the armpit of the internet now. It's a nasty place with all sorts of nasty things being said there, and it's just I don't find it a positive environment, and I don't like being there anymore. That's kind of why I don't post on there. I used to post stuff on there that was kind of fun, like UFO pictures and stuff, but just it ain't my jam anymore. At this point, I think it's pretty clear that a significant portion of the internet is fake. We will never know the exact amount or the exact number. We won't know how many posts on each place is fake. But the exact number, now that we've established that, I think it's pretty clear that that part of the theory is correct, that some significant percentage of content on the internet is made by bots. So I think that's pretty clear. But the important thing is who is doing this and why. Is this fake activity being used to manipulate people in some sort of nefarious way? Is it just benign activity? Is it programmers just testing things for a university project? Well, I personally don't think that this is some sort of new world order kind of a deal. I think there are many actors doing this for their own purposes. For example, the celebrities are trying to build their accounts for their purposes to promote their movies or whatever it is they're doing. The CIA might be doing it for entirely different reasons. There's, for example, something I'm familiar with is AMC. I own a few shares of AMC stock, nothing crazy, but there's a lot of fake posts under places, whether it's Reddit, Twitter, or whatever. There are a lot of fake bot posts that are very clearly fake, trying to convince people to sell their shares. It is super obvious. That's something that I see all the time. Now, who's behind that? I'm not going to say that it's Citadel, but it could be Citadel. I mean, we don't know that for sure. It could be some other entity or hedge fund or something. A powerful person in, Wall Street that wants you to sell your shares. But the reason I mention that is because yesterday and today, that AMC stock has gone up by a huge percentage. So you've seen also a huge increase in these bots trying to get you to sell your shares. I showed Ether a couple of posts earlier from Reddit that were, people saying, you guys are all a bunch of morons. You should sell your shares now, basically. You remember that, Agent Ether?
I do. I do remember that.
And if you look at those accounts, if you look at their other posts, the posts are either deleted or nonsensical or whatever. And you'll I looked at some of them and you'll see a pattern where they'll post a whole bunch of posts in a very short period of time, like 30 seconds or a minute. They'll put out like 5 or 10 posts. and then nothing for a few hours, and then 5 or 10 posts in a very short period of time. Activity that doesn't seem like it's done by a person. It seems like it's done by a bot, because, it doesn't seem like somebody who's interacting with stuff and reading stuff. It seems like somebody who's just, putting stuff out like a bot quickly. Now, if you've listened to previous episodes of this show, you may have listened to our 3-part episode on the art of deception. The art of deception was a slideshow that came out under the Snowden leaks. And I won't go into too much details there, but what that does is that it's basically lays out the strategies that you can use to manipulate people online. And for me, this proves without a doubt that there are operatives working for intelligence communities for different. This was a presentation for the 5 Eyes. I won't go over what that is. Go listen back on that episode. But this slideshow that presents the techniques used to manipulate people online, to me, proves that governments are doing this. Why are they doing this? We don't know. What are their goals? We don't know. But we know that they would not come up with these techniques, and they would not give a presentation on these techniques if they were not using them. This was a training program. Some of the slides show the program, like the parts of the program that people were being trained in. So this is something that they were 100% deploying, and probably still are deploying, to manipulate people online. Again, we don't know exactly how this is being used, but we know this was being used. So, the CIA or whoever they're not the same as the celebrities. This is not an overarching conspiracy, in my opinion. We just have a bunch of different parties using this to their own ends. Some of them, well, pretty much all of them, are using this to manipulate people in different ways. They might be manipulating you to watch a YouTube video. They might be manipulating you to overthrow a government in a small country. I don't know. There's many different ways this could be used. Part of the tools for the art of deception are how to infiltrate a small community online, or an online community, I should say, and infiltrate it and manipulate it from within, or destroy it from within. There's different tactics they're using there, but that's, again, go listen to those episodes. That's a whole different topic entirely. So those are some of the examples that there are many, many, many examples such as this, but I don't know if we need to necessarily go over more examples. But there are plenty of them.
I think that was good. Do you want to maybe wrap things up with some thoughts?
Yeah, but I did want to do one specific post that I found on Reddit that somebody took a screenshot of. They took a screenshot of 3 different accounts on Twitter, all posting the exact same message, which was, quote, "I'm holding back tears RN for right now. How can such an injustice exist? Why is he walking free? There must be a way we can retry him. Anything!" Exclamation mark, question mark, explanation mark. This happened about 3 years ago. I'm not going to speak to the event they were talking about, because that's not the point of this episode. But there were 3 different accounts, all had profile pictures, all looked like real accounts on the surface, but the grammar for each post was identical. Certain words had been put into bold. Those were identical. After injustice exist, question mark, why, the W on why is lowercase. After anything, exclamation, question, explanation. Everything is verbatim identical between these 3 accounts, who were posting under different areas, under different hashtags or whatever. Or maybe it was Reddit and there were different subreddits. I forget. Either way, they were all identical posts under different areas of the internet. And this is the kind of stuff you can find. You can find many, many examples of this if you Google this topic. So we know for a fact that there are bots trying to manipulate stuff. And that's just one example that I wanted to point out, because I found it interesting. And it's a call to emotion, right? It's manipulative, and it's not just be saying something like, "Go see my next movie, guys." They're actually talking about something that's affecting real people and having a call to action there. It's pretty scary if you think about it. And there are plenty of examples like this, by the way. There's another thread. I think this was people joking, but I showed this to Agent Ether. This is on Ask Reddit, which I think is the biggest subreddit on Reddit. And the question was, what bot accounts on Reddit should people know about? And every response is the same. Every account on Reddit is a bot except you. Thousands of replies. It's really, really weird. I think it's a joke. I'm not 100% sure about that, though. Remember this, Agent Ethan?
I do. I was hoping it was a joke as well.
Yeah. But if you I scrolled down far enough and I saw this response. Hey, bot maker here. Reddit is basically a giant playground for developers. What we do is create simple to replicate formulas to produce content procedurally. This is why advice animals are so popular, despite being such low quality content. Many first-time programmers use that sub to hone those skills. It's also why you see a lot of the same questions get upvoted on Ask Reddit. It makes it easier for our algorithms to get better at seeming human. And this has been an automated message. Every account on Reddit is a bot except you. So this thread or this question has 61,000 upvotes and 32,000 responses. Pretty wild. I didn't have a chance to look at all 32,000, but I'm guessing the vast majority of them are the exact same thing, which is every account on Reddit is a bot except you. All right, now we're already going pretty long here, so there's topics that I have that I'm going to go ahead and skip. For example, what do they call them? Like people bots. So people who are doing things like bots. For example, Amazon Mechanical Turk has people doing things for SEO to, go here, click on this, whatever, to improve these results. There's, chat GTP and auto-generated stuff like news articles that we touched on, didn't really get into that much. There's a lot more we could talk about for like covert operations or psyops that are going on. There's tons of fake Amazon reviews. There's the topics just go on and on and on. And that's why this is such a fun topic. But so you were saying anyways, Ethan, time to kind of wrap it up.
Yes, Ether was saying, let's wrap it up.
Did I say something besides Ether?
No.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. So let's kind of get into our final thoughts here. What do you have? Any final thoughts?
Well, personally, I get kind of sick of it all.
Yes.
You're getting constantly bombarded with what I'll refer to as spam. And it's not just on social media, but it's to my email and sites that I am browsing. And it's not just advertising. For example, I have been chosen to speak at an international conference based on some of my publications.
Okay.
This is an email I am constantly getting, and it does not get filtered and go to my spam box because it's always from someone new.
Okay.
And nobody wants me at their international conference. I promise. I've published one paper and it wasn't well received.
Oh.
No, I mean, it's not a big deal, but my point is, this is some bot. It's being generated, and the purpose is probably phishing.
Probably to get you to pay money to go to the thing.
Or to get money somehow.
Or something like that, yeah.
Something like that. But it's, or someone wants to start a conversation with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's supposed to be a professional website where I go to connect with other people, but no one's really communicating with you. There isn't creative contact. And even with a premium subscription, you have to get targeted ads. It's pure garbage. I deleted my account. And guess what? I still get emails from LinkedIn. It's so annoying. So-and-so, who I've never heard of, who might be connected to me like Kevin Bacon, wants to connect with me.
That's actually, I didn't even touch on LinkedIn, but yeah, that was another big one that I saw.
So that's my little rant, how it affects me personally. And really, it's affected how I browse and my time that I spend on the internet. I don't go on Facebook as much as I used to. And really, it's to manage our group.
Right.
And when I do interact on Facebook, I have a very limited number of friends and family. I don't accept friend requests from like anybody I don't know. I'm very careful. I have a private profile. And this is why I just don't want it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be involved. It's already bad enough that my information is already all over the dark web. When it comes to bots and fake accounts and phishing, just count me out.
Right. Yeah. And it's a lot of this stuff is very clearly fake. Like I mentioned, Amazon reviews. If you bother reading some of these, you can see a bunch of reviews all posted, one after another that are all worded very similar. And they're probably typed by a real person, but probably from like a bot farm or a people bot farm overseas that were paid to write the reviews. And it's just, I don't know if we can call the internet dead. I think it might be a little bit of the overstatement as far as like the grandiosity of this conspiracy, I think might be a little overblown, but it's clear that there are vast numbers of bots generating a significant portion of the content out there. That is undeniable at this point. And some of this content, if not all of it, is being used to manipulate people in one way or another. So there's definitely merit to the dead internet theory. We don't know how widespread it is, and with better tools like ChatGPT being developed all the time, it's becoming increasingly difficult to tell what's real and what's fake. And in 10 years from now, the internet might truly be dead, as far as we know it anyways. And that's kind of a scary thought, because if you remember the earlier days of the internet, it was a really interesting place, but a lot of that has gone away. A large part of that is the SEO and the hijacking of the search engines, because stuff that's interesting, like if you're looking for an interesting blog about a topic, whatever that may be, you're not going to find that blog anymore. You're just going to find an automatically generated post selling you something on Amazon. Like, it's really hard to find good content generated by people. It's extremely difficult these days, like really, really hard. Even if you're searching for something specific, like Agent Ether was saying earlier. So I don't know where this is headed, but I do know that there's definitely a lot of merit to this dead internet theory. It does seem to hold a lot of water. And I think that, I don't know. I don't know how far it goes, and I don't know how much of it's being used to manipulate people and all that other stuff. But there's something here, and there's something real here. This is not overblown, and it's not some harebrained conspiracy at all. What do you think about that, Agent Ether?
Truer words have never been spoken.
Well, I don't know about that. So I guess I'd like to wrap it up with a really, really great quote I found, ironically from a user named The Greatest Lobotomy, suggesting that this could be a bot. Who knows? Whether or not it's a bot, I don't know, but I really liked this quote from Reddit talking about this topic. Here we go. Another component to the theory/idea people aren't bringing up here is that parts of the internet are dying. The refinement of search results and SEO clogging up the few pages of Google results you can click through, old websites going offline without being archived, etc. This, plus the AI elements people already brought up, contribute to this dying ecosystem. In my opinion, I think people in this thread are overestimating the mental capacity of most internet users and underestimating the growing efficiency of generative content in your digital consciousness. If the window through which we humans are allowed to express themselves online is made increasingly narrow, it becomes harder to differentiate boys from real people. Like, even just the popularization of outrage content on the internet contributes to this, as when see foolish or hurtful things on the internet that upset you, you learn to recognize that emotional exchange as real. And of course, it's very easy to automate this specific content generation/digital engagement. So eventually, anything that can trigger that kind of emotional for my may be viewed as real, or maybe you cut off from those exchanges entirely and therefore miscategorize some percentage of real humans engaging in that behavior. Maybe not the perfect example, but this sort of thing could manifest many different ways. I can, at the very least, attest that the internet has become much more lonely than it once was. there will come a generation that longs for our liminal web pages and abandoned URLs the way current youth agonize over malls and blockbusters, sharing in ignorance of what existed there before. And I thought that was just a really good way of putting it. A really good quote there. I wish I could write that elegantly. I like the way they put that. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Any final thoughts, Agent Ether?
No, I gave my final thoughts.
All right. That's all we got for you this time. This is one of those really fascinating topics where we could go hours and hours on it, kind of going around in circles, but I think that's all we got for you this time. If you enjoyed the show, you could really help us out by giving us a good review, suggesting the show to your friend, and all that great stuff. And until next time,
keep it strange.